Welcome back, everybody, to another thrilling episode of Thrive Shape Program with Coach 2J's. This is your host, Jeremy Jones. And today we're going to talk about teaching people how to avoid chafing when using the rings. Some people don't know about that, and actually I think I made a video about this. And then we're going to talk about this awesome Lucky Shamrock workout. So, one of the things that we want to make sure people understand is where the buckle is on the rings. So if we, if I were to draw a ring, and then we have the strap, right? We just want to make sure that that buckle is not near the rings. And so it's really important that you go around and help people. What happens is usually as the people use the rings or whatever, the weight of the buckle starts to fall, and so the buckles always end up down here. Now there's different types of ring setups. Some of them don't have that problem, but for the most part, when you have that loop, the strap, that buckle's always going to fall. So if you can take the extra slack and throw it over the bar where that ring's attached, a lot of times the weight of that extra can help keep the buckle up there. And so what you would do is then you can like tie up the extra, and just but flop it over the top, so that helps keep the buckle out of the way, right? And just make sure you're teaching people how to use the rings, so they're not just always getting left all over, as a big mess and it's hard for people to use or whatever. So yeah, just make sure people know that this will prevent them from chewing their arm up and that chafing that they use on their rings. It's kind of like rope burn and other things. It's totally avoidable if people do it right. The other thing is that when people are doing ring push-ups, what we don't want to see is those elbows flared out, right? So if they're here and they're doing their push-ups and their elbows are flared out to the sides, this also can cause a certain amount of chafing on that's a crazy looking one. But when they're if they're changing the position of their arms, right? So we want their elbows right next to their ribs. So if this is their head, then it should look like this, right? We're right next to the rings when they do this, right? That's one of the reasons why I like ring push-ups as a variation for scaling too, where we have people go at an angle, because it's a lot more. We have a lot more varied, smaller granular changes for scaling, but it also teaches them to keep their elbows next to their ribs, so they can really do the movement properly and not risk their shoulders. Which what happens is, of course, when people try to do more push-up variations, they flare the elbows out to recruit more of the pec muscles, and that puts the shoulder in a compromised position. So rings are really good. I like box push-ups are fine, but rings are usually my go-to. All right, so we've got our dynamic warm-up here, and then again we've got some bodyweight stuff they can do, or some stuff they can do before. Today it's just a run or a jump rope, and then we've got our barbell complex. And again, we are coming to the close of our season of sort of barbell training. We will be shifting into more of a running focus, so we'll see a little bit less of these barbell complexes in the warm-ups. Then we're going to do some shoulder activation. So again, thinking about the shoulder, it's really the shoulder and upper thoracic. So you might want to work on that upper back, working on people and getting their ribs able to open, maybe doing some mobility to help people get that first rib or right behind the clavicle more supple, so they can get into that overhead position, not just stretching out the shoulder, right? So it's also the whole upper torso. So we're going to skip the skill practice warm-up. We're going to go right into either it's 3-3-3, 2-2-2, power snatch or squat snatch. And again, this is really up to each individual person. You may even have total beginners doing a hang muscle snatch. They're just learning the movement. They're not going to go very heavy. You may increase the number of repetitions that they're doing, so that they actually can get more practice with it, and then you're not really concerned about load. Other people, maybe they shouldn't be squat snatching because they just don't have the technique down, or they have a mechanical issue. They can just do power snatches. So both are acceptable, but obviously one of the ways some people might try to do this is they may do some power snatches on the earlier sets, and then as they keep adding weight, they may drop to a squat snatch because they've added up. So it's fine to even switch it up: power, and then maybe squat at the end or something. That's also fine. Then we're gonna do some either weighted ring dips or dumbbell bench. Again, it's up to you guys how you wanna go with that. Now, people's chests are gonna be a little bit spicy from the workout yesterday, so just make sure they're being smart about what progressions or loads that they're using for that, so they don't get too crazy. Now we've got Lucky Shamrock. So it's 8 minutes. We're going to do a 500 meter row buy-in, and then we're going to do max rounds the remaining time. 12 ring push-ups, 12 goblet squats, 24 ab mat sit-ups. So this is, we want people to push themselves on this row. So make sure people know that it says record as a separate benchmark. This is something which, whatever, if they're using a paper log beyond the whiteboard, whatever, they should log that. And then they're not going to be fully recovered before they go into the next part of the workout. And that is by design, right? So they push themselves hard on the row, and then they're just going to start doing rounds before they're fully recovered. And then usually what happens is they recover and then they get tired again, right? So that's the way this workout is designed. For energy system purposes and just to make it interesting. This also allows you guys to stagger the rowers. So if you don't have enough rowers, you would just stagger people. And it doesn't have to be the slower people first, faster people last, because it's an AMRAP and not a for time workout. So go ahead and just just randomly select people into 2 groups and or 3 groups if you have to, and then just let them just put them out. It's good if they're similar times. So if you have like a fast heat, you can have the first group go. Usually the faster people might want to spend more time lifting, so maybe they don't go first. You might take those beginners and then have them do the first wave, and then the second wave will go at 3 minutes, and then like the third wave might go at 5 minutes. The last wave may not need as much time to go in, because if you have the fastest people go in the second wave, they should be all finishing in 2 minutes or less. But you also have the team version here too. So if you want to do a team version, it's a 1,000-meter row split, 1,000-meter row split between 2 people, and then we're not resting. And it's 24 ring push-ups, 24 goblet squats, and those are one person at a time. But then the sit-ups, both people do together. That way, there's a little bit less work rest. So there's work rest on the row, but then no rest interval, and then we're doing the ring push-ups and the goblet squats, taking turns, and then the sit-ups all at the same time. So it's a fun one. Just be aware that if you are going to have to do heats, you'll probably want to finish up that shoulder mobility a little bit earlier, maybe closer to 10 minutes, and then you can take a little bit more time to coach the snatches and the ring dips or dumbbell bench. So that way if you finish this up in 25 minutes, that'll put you at 35 after, and that'll give you a full 25 minutes to set this up and get everyone dialed in for the Metcon, and you can do a few waves, right? Because it is an 8-minute AMRAP. So again, kind of saying if you did, let's say you did two heats of 3 or 3 heats of with the second one's going every 3 minutes, so that would be 6 minutes on top of that. So that'd be you'd need at least 14 minutes to get through 3 waves if you waited a full 3 minutes for the second 2 heats. So just be aware of that. So that way, if you finish up the lifting at about 35 after, you'll still have plenty of time to get set up and teach it. All right, guys, that's it for today. There is a cash out if people want to do a cash out before they go out and enjoy their St. Patty's Day and thrive on.